Hakuna Matata. It means no worries for the rest of your days. Sound familiar, right? It's like this mentality that we just don't have to have any worries. And I like that, I really do. It sounds fantastic, but it's almost like blind optimism is what it sounds like. It sounds like being naive. It sounds like let me just ignore all the bad things in life, including my own issues, and just peace out for life and just act like nothing's wrong. In the New Age movement, they have this term called spiritual bypassing, which really you could take the spiritual word off of it. It's bypassing, that's what it is. You're bypassing all this stuff you avoid and don't want to deal with. So I got this idea from somebody else, and I'll just put it out there. I forgot his name, but he's like an astrologer or something. His name's Timothy or something. He's on YouTube. You should look him up. He's really good. But he's got like long black hair or something. Basically what he was saying, a long time ago I watched one of his videos, he says that right now there is a need for a necessary descent into the things that we avoid, the shadows, the darkness, the uncomfortable truths. There's a necessary descent into that in our lower impulses as well in order to reach an ascended state of consciousness. Meaning, basically, we have to do the work to look at the things that we don't want to face in order to come to a better mindset in a happier place and a place of more peace within ourselves. Because by avoiding it, we're being haunted by it, and it's creating this conflict and war within us that just keeps going on and on. And so he was just talking about a necessary descent into that, you know. And for many of us, that means like getting out of the mental spheres and like getting more deeper into the physical body and I don't know if I'm saying this right, interoception or interoception or something like that. Basically, it's like this awareness of the feelings in your body, your physical feelings that you have, not just like I'm sad, but like the pains and the shooting, you know, pulses through your body. Like, so interoception is that ability to be able to detect that on a deep level. I personally have been up here a lot for many years, and something I've struggled with. So, you know, I found his message, Timothy's message, really resonated with me. And basically, you just have to, you know, come down here, get in the body in order to face the things you've been avoiding. And, you know, I've avoided a lot. I'm no different than you. I've avoided quite a lot of stuff I didn't want to deal with because it felt too intense, or I just wasn't ready for it, or maybe I was bypassing it with some sort of philosophical justification or something, you know, rationalizing things. The mind is a tricky thing. It knows how to make excuses, right? Like, it's very simple on a day-to-day level. How many times does your mind make an excuse for you to not do something that you know you're supposed to do? And for a lot of us, that's something we struggle with. Some of us are really disciplined mentally and have the capacity to have that mental fortitude and that discipline in order to take action and not hesitate, right? But even those people have things they avoid. Even the people that are mentally fortitude have things they avoid, because the reality is we all have something that we don't want to look at. I don't care if you're like a NASA scientist, or you're Steve Jobs, or you know, you're some nurse, or you're a doctor, or you're an anthropologist. It doesn't matter what you are, who you are. There's things that you're avoiding, and there's a necessary descent that you have to do. You have to dive deep in order to reach a peacefuler state. And a lot of us aren't ready for that because there's not really like anyone to hold our hands, right? Because it is an internal experience, and no one knows your internal suffering as much as you do. You could go to therapy and try to sift through it with somebody, or you could talk to someone you know about it, but at the end of the day, You and only you have those answers. You and, of course, a higher power, God, you know. And so there's that relationship. Really, all you have is yourself and God in that internal suffering. But a lot of people use God to bypass. And that's not right either, I don't think. I don't think that's the answer. I think that, yes, we should surrender a lot of the things that we struggle with to God. But I also believe that we do at the same time need to do the work to face those things that we avoid. And I don't think that it's really a black and white decision or an ultimatum that you have to face. I think there's a balance there, right? Because there is you could be not bad. You could be facing the deepest, darkest part of yourself for years and years and years and not get anywhere because you don't have that balance with your connection to God and surrendering some of that suffering to Him so that He could bring in grace and mercy in your life in order to alleviate some of that suffering and to provide you the lessons that you need to learn, right? Because it isn't just about giving us grace, it's also about giving us these moments in our life in which are synchronistic or serendipitous. I don't know if I said that right, but basically, these moments in our life, we could detect them when there's obviously a lesson there with our own internal experience. And so there's obviously some higher power manifesting those experiences for us to learn through. And a lot of times that's through relationships, right? But I'm just saying, we can't avoid the things we don't want to deal with. But we can't be stuck in it either, by just looking into the shadow and having tunnel vision and not seeing around us in our peripherals and seeing all the good things that we can be grateful for and in the ways in which we are blessed. There's never going to be a point in your life where you are going to be at a perfect state, where your darkness is going to be completely healed. We are complex beings, to say the least, and so life's going to give you new experiences, and I do believe that our experiences in life do reflect our internal experience, and our internal experience reflects the outer experience. It goes both ways. It's the outer and the inner. Your psyche, your consciousness, your memories, your trauma, and then there's the outer experience, reality, as we like to call it. But reality is more than just the outside world. A lot of people get stuck in the outside world and avoid the inside world. I know a few people like that, and it's very hard to get them to look deeply because it's uncomfortable for them. And I understand, I have compassion for that, and I can't force them to look at anything because that's their journey and they're on their own clockwork. But eventually they're going to have to look at it, whether I'm around or not. It's not my responsibility, but God's going to keep, the universe is going to keep bringing situations for you to experience in order to repeat those cycles in order for you to learn the lesson again if you didn't learn it the last time. Jesus Christ. But literally, Jesus Christ. But it's a hard balance, right? It's a tightrope that you walk. It's a very thin line, and the balance between, being aware of the things you would like to avoid and also not being super, in your head about it and not seeing the good things in life, and having grace and surrendering it to God, There's a balance there. You got to know thyself. If you haven't, if you don't know yourself, then you can't know God. You can only know God through knowing yourself. But your sense of self can't be some sort of ego identity that's limited. It's expansive. Yourself is your soul. I like to relate it to the soul, right? Self and the soul. You know, I don't like to think of the self as the ego, because the ego is just this this apparatus we build, this mental construct. It's not real. But our real self, our core of who we are, that's the self, that's the soul. We all have that. But if you don't know your soul, and you don't do the soul searching, if you don't know yourself, then you can't really know God. And so I implore you to do that work. And it does require you to descend in order to ascend. And I think that's such a beautiful message and concept by that guy, Timothy. I'll link his channel down in the comments or in the description of this video. You know, I'm not like too deep in astrology like I used to be, but his is very, it's different. He's definitely tapped in, I believe. But yeah, I just wanted to bring that to your awareness.